Tonight, crews are still trying to restore power to Lexington's Government Center after an electrical fire.
The fire started last night in a nearby parking garage, but crews had to cut power to the entire building to make repairs. City leaders hope power will be restored by late tonight or tomorrow morning. Employees who work in the Government Center were told to stay home today. City leaders say they aren't sure yet if the building will reopen tomorrow.
It is good timing considering all the wintry weather we've had lately, and with even more on the way now. Today, Lexington firefighters trained for ice rescues at Jacobson Park. WKYT's Rebecca Smith even helped out by putting on a wetsuit and helping firefighters practice their rescues. Firefighters say every minute counts during an ice rescue.
Well, the water today is probably about 34 to 36 degrees under the insulation of the ice. The ice itself is, of course, 32 or less. But you only have minutes if you're in that ice.
Well, Rebecca was very brave for this story. Lexington firefighters say in the last few years they've been called to help with rescues of both people and dogs from icy ponds.
On the menu for downtown Lexington, a new fine dining restaurant. Managers of the Square say Tony's Steaks and Seafood will open later this week. They say the restaurant mixes Southern charm with an urban feel, and they say it features traditional steakhouse food with innovative cuisine. Tony's will open for business Friday. Good evening. Tonight we're tracking a winter storm expected to bring wild weather to the bluegrass this week.
Both heavy rain and heavy snow are possible. We begin tonight with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey. He is tracking what is heading our way. How about it, Chris?
Yeah, a lot of everything on the way, especially as we go into late tomorrow night, Wednesday, and early Thursday. That's when the atmosphere is going to be primed for significant amounts of rain that could lead to high water, and then the snow and sleet begin to kick into high gear shortly thereafter. Daily breakdown highlighting that high impact winter storm that will impact the entire region as of now. Wednesday flood threat. Keep an eye on those creeks and streams, to be followed by the snow and sleet parts of the winter storm program. Live first alert defender as of now, nothing going on, but we do have our flood watch that is in effect for all the counties shaded in green. That's basically all of central and eastern Kentucky. Then it is a winter storm watch that is also out for most areas. So the rare double whammy of a flood watch and a winter storm watch that is in effect. Nothing is going to show up on Defender as we go through the evening, but our storm is already throwing some clouds our way. It's well off to the west. Arctic air funneling in out of Canada toward the northern parts of the Rocky Mountains. Those two will get together and cause this big disruption of travel across the nation's midsection all the way to the East Coast in the coming days. Now, the focus of the forecast when I come back in a little bit will be on the flood potential and a first call for snowfall map in just about 10 minutes from now.
All right, a lot to talk about, Chris. Thank you. Tonight, we are learning some new details about a violent robbery in Lexington caught on surveillance video.
Lexington police have an arrest warrant for one of the men they're looking for, 30-year-old Darnell Thomas Jr. They say Thomas and another man robbed the Tobacco Zone on North Broadway Friday night. Now police are trying to figure out if that robbery is connected to 15 others around the city. Victor Puente has the latest in our top story at 6.
It's surveillance video that's gotten a lot of attention. A woman fighting a robber and using his own gun against him. Now Lexington police are trying to determine if that man is connected to 15 other robberies in the city. Since this video was released over the weekend, Zara Adil says she's been surprised by how many people have seen it.
It's been weird. Like, I'm not used to so much attention. I'm an introvert. I stay to myself.
She was working in her family store Friday evening when two men came in as they were closing. One had a gun and demanded money, but as he was getting the cash, he put his gun down. That's when she grabbed it and a fight began between the two. Police say during that fight, multiple shots were fired and it's possible the robber was hit. During the fight, she pulled off his mask. Police say underneath was 30-year-old Darnell Thomas Jr.
I'm glad he's eventually going to get caught.
Over the past 2 months, 15 other Lexington businesses have been robbed by two armed men. Adele thinks it was the same two who came to her store.
The same gun. It was the same gun that the police got. And so I believe it's the same guy.
Lexington police have said Adele was very fortunate to have not been injured during the struggle. She says the thought of people taking from her parents' business was more than she could handle. And while she fought that robber, the other people in the store ran.
When they realized what was going down, they just took off running. One of the guys actually stuck around because I had his $93 in my drawer.
Adele told me she recognized Darnell Thomas Jr. She said he'd been in her family store before as a customer. In Lexington, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Lexington police say they are looking into whether Darnell Thomas Jr. was involved in those other robberies, but they do not want to rule out any other suspects.
It was a day that changed some Kentucky communities forever. 3 years ago today, a devastating tornado outbreak killed dozens of people and caused damage in many communities. One of the hardest hit places was Morgan County. Today, Mike Linden went to West Liberty to talk to people there about their memories of that horrible day.
Today marks the 3-year anniversary of one of the most historic tornado outbreaks in the Bluegrass State. Donnie McKenzie has lived in West Liberty all of his life, but what he saw on March 2nd, 2012 was a first.
It's so fast, it wasn't much could go through your mouth when it just happened. It didn't last over 2 or 3 minutes, it didn't seem like.
An EF3 tornado with winds at approximately 140 miles per hour destroyed the pool room with McKenzie and 5 others inside. The business he owned since 1978 was gone.
It was just a terrible feeling because I just rented the building, see, you know. And you just wonder, what are you going to do? You know, that's all I've done all my life.
According to the National Weather Service, the EF3 tornado first touched down in Menifee County, moved into West Liberty, and eventually traveled more than 90 miles away from its touchdown site, all the way into West Virginia. The 1-mile-wide column of violently rotating air destroyed parts of downtown West Liberty and West Liberty Elementary School.
The custodian, she came out to my house to get me, and she'd already seen the school and said, you know, it's gone.
Both Oldfield and McKenzie say it's a day that forever changed West Liberty.
It's just a bad feeling because there are things you lost that you can't buy. It's just gone.
18 total tornadoes touched down that day, leaving 24 people dead and more than 200 injured across the state. In West Liberty, Mike Linden, WKYT.
6 people were killed in that tornado that hit Morgan County. A new elementary school in West Liberty opened last year, and many homes and businesses have since been rebuilt. She is a woman most would hope to never encounter. She's the one who's there following a possible rape. Lexington's sexual assault nurse examiner has never talked to the media until now. In partnership with the Lexington Herald Leader, WKYT's Miranda Combs has this exclusive look at Lexington's SANE program. It's a story new at 6 tonight.
Many college students live in this area near
October of 2004, a UK student was raped, sodomized, and kidnapped.
K-9 was called to the scene and conducted a track.
She was found by railroad tracks not far from her Crescent Avenue home.
Police say Keenan Brashad Springer,
The man who did it, was charged and put in jail. The case is closed.
That case will be with me to my grave.
She was there to hear the victim's account that night and collect evidence that would confirm rape.
It's just a horrible situation.
There are those cases of the more than 1,000 she's worked that stand out and stay with her. She is the sexual assault nurse examiner, or SANE nurse, for the Lexington Police Department. She's never done an interview until now. Her job is about privacy. Her office tucked in a corner of UK's emergency department.
It's really important for them to feel safe and secure when they get here because everything that's happened to them up to that point has been pretty chaotic.
Anita Capillo is a pioneer in her field.
Go ahead and do a head-to-toe assessment.
She wrote a grant 15 years ago that started the SANE program in Lexington.
I'm paying particular attention to those areas that she identified, looking for any areas of discoloration that might represent bruising.
Sexual assault cases are difficult at best.
Commonwealth's attorney Ray Larson has been working with Capillo since her first case.
She came up with this idea of a SANE program.
We are the only law enforcement-based program in the entire state.
She's employed by Lexington Police. Grant money pays for supplies and her 7 on-call SANE nurses.
We take everything at a 90-degree angle.
They see between 85 and 100 sexual assault cases a year.
Reporting is getting better. I think the incidence of sexual assault has always been very high, but it's probably one of the most underreported crimes in this country.
She works with police as part of the sexual assault response team.
They're just invaluable when we go to trial.
Capillo says society has a long way to go in regard to taking the spotlight off victims of sexual assault.
and it's all about reversing that and focusing on what the perpetrator did.
She says stigmas in her line of work still exist. Male reporting of sexual assaults is on the rise.
This is for dried secretions.
But far from where she knows it should be.
That's really critical. They need to think about their own health and welfare first, and the criminal aspect of it second.
She says she sees the victim in that 2004 rape from time to time, the person she helped during an unthinkable nightmare.